Our universal journey. A cat with an incurable kind of cancer. A job that is always tenuous. Human relationships that are fragile, unpredictable, and sometimes tumultuous. My own body, seemingly healthy, but still subject to disease, fatigue, and aging. Life is unpredictable. However much we think we have a handle on it, the truth is we never really know what's to come. Everything can change in an instant. This is a tough truth to accept, for though we know intellectually that all things in life are impermanent, we often don't feel it instinctively. We persist in our attempts to control life. We imagine that we can predict and manipulate future events. We imagine that we control, or at least have a strong influence on, external events. But this is not really the case. In fact, all that worry, manipulation, and attempted control is mostly wasted energy. We are not the masters of the external world. We cannot predict the future. Our best laid plans are always subject to catastrophic failure. There is no security to be found in the outside world. There is no secure job or relationship or situation of any kind. Everything changes. We can conceivably lose them all in the blink of an eye. Where then is true security to be found? Certainly not in the external world, but rather internally. Trust yourself to react appropriately when catastrophe happens. Failure of nerve is really failure to trust yourself. Alan Watts. This is the only true security, the security of trusting yourself, the security of flexibility and adaptability, the security of spiritual and emotional self-reliance. Rather than obsess over external events, we better serve ourselves by obsessing over inner resources. Our security and happiness come from our inner peace, our ability to accept any situation, adapt to it, use it, learn from it, and, perhaps, overcome it. The more we do this, the more confident we grow, and, in time, we develop a true sense of security in our lives, one that is completely independent of external circumstances. Practically, this implies that our task is to seek out new experiences and build our capacity to adapt to them. This is the reason I think of travel as a potentially spiritual practice. Travel, especially long, challenging journeys, expands our ability to accept and adapt to the unexpected and the unknown. This kind of travel is a concentrated training exercise in impermanence and change. Joseph Campbell, the famed mythologist, identified the common thread running through the mythological journeys found in most cultures. He noted that while these stories are always presented as external journeys, they are, in fact, symbolic of the inner journey we must all make. In the end, we must all leave home, the safe and the comfortable. We must all face life-changing challenges. We must all face loss, and we must all arrive at our own understanding of impermanence and our own wisdom. This is the universal journey. Okay, welcome to the crazy story section of the Our Universal Journey article. Okay, let's get started. Once there was a frog. He wanted to find a princess, so he went on a journey. He walked for many years. Every day he imagined his princess. In fact, he obsessed about her. He couldn't think of anything else. But he could not find her. He kept walking all over the world. He became fatigued, very, very tired. He wanted to quit, but he said to himself, "I will not have a failure of nerve. I will overcome every problem. I will overcome every catastrophe. I will persist until I find her." One day, the frog came to a large, tumultuous river with huge rocks and big waves. He was so fatigued, he didn't have the capacity to swim across. Then he saw a turtle. He yelled to it, "Can you help me cross the river?" The turtle said, "Why do you want to cross?" The frog said, "I must find my princess." The turtle was surprised. He said, "Are you implying that you want to marry a human?" "Yes," said the frog. The frog got onto the turtle's back. He was a small turtle, and his back was very wet. The frog's position was very tenuous. He almost fell several times, but finally, they made it to the other side. There, on the other side, he saw a beautiful woman. It was his princess. He jumped into her arms and kissed her. She turned into a frog, and they got married and lived happily ever after. Okay, let's go again up from the top. This time I'm going to ask some questions. The reason I ask questions is to repeat the new vocabulary and help you remember and understand it better. Here we go. Once there was a frog. He wanted to find a princess, so he went on a journey. He took a trip, a journey, a long trip. He walked for many years. Every day he imagined his princess. He obsessed over her. Did he obsess about food? No, of course, he didn't obsess about food. He didn't care about food. Did he obsess about the weather? Was he always thinking about the weather? No. What did he obsess about? Well, he obsessed about his princess. He imagined her, what she looked like. He could not think about anything else. He only thought about his princess. He obsessed about her completely, totally. Every day he obsessed about his princess. He couldn't think about anything else, but he couldn't find her. He kept walking all over the world. He became fatigued. Did he get more energy as he walked? No. He got more tired. He became fatigued. Did he feel just a little bit tired? No, he was fatigued. He was very, very tired. Did he feel tired just for one day or just for a small, short period of time? No, he was fatigued. He felt tired all the time, every day. And every day he became more and more fatigued, more and more tired. He wanted to quit. He wanted to give up. Did he have a failure of nerve? Did he lose his courage? No, he did not have a failure of nerve. In fact, he said to himself, "I will not have a failure of nerve. I will not become afraid. I will not become weak. I will not have a failure of nerve." He said, "I will overcome every problem." So he wanted to solve every problem. He wanted to beat every challenge. He wanted to beat every opponent. He wanted to win against every single problem that came in his way. He also said, "I will overcome every catastrophe." So not just small problems. Was he ready to face big problems? Yes, he was. Was he ready to face huge failures? Yes, he was. He was ready to face every catastrophe. He was ready for catastrophe. He was not afraid. His nerve did not fail. Did he keep trying? Yes, he did. He said, "I will persist until I find her." Did he say he would give up after a little while? No. Did he plan to ever give up? No. He said he would persist until he found her. He would never get up. He would keep trying again and again and again and again. Never give up. He said, "I will persist." Okay, one day the frog came to a large, tumultuous river. Was it a calm river? No, it was not a calm river. Did it have just small little waves? No, it had huge, really big waves. It was a tumultuous river. Did the river stay the same? No, the river did not stay the same. It was always changing. Huge, big waves crashing. All these large currents, everything moving and changing. It was a very tumultuous river. This tumultuous river was impossible to cross because he was so fatigued. He was too tired to cross this tumultuous river. Could he cross a calm river? Yeah, probably he could cross a calm river. He could still swim, but he could not cross this big tumultuous river. Did he have the capacity to swim across? No, he did not have the abilities to swim across. Why did he not have the capacity to swim across? Well, because he'd been walking every day, so he was too tired. He lost his capacity, he lost his ability, he lost his strength to swim across a big, tumultuous river. So he did not have the capacity to swim across this river. What did he do? Well, he saw a turtle, and he called to the turtle. He said, "Can you help me cross the river?" So the turtle did have the capacity to cross the river. The turtle said, "Why do you want to cross?" And the frog said, "I must find my princess." The turtle was surprised because the frog was a frog and the princess was human. So he said, "Are you implying that you want to marry a human?" And the frog said, "Yes." Did the frog directly say he wanted to marry a human? No, he did not directly say it. He just said, "I want to find a princess." And the turtle thought, must be a human. But the frog did not directly say it. He implied it, right? He indirectly said he wanted to marry a human. He directly said, "I want to find my princess." But that implies that the princess is probably human. So it suggests that he probably wants to marry a human. And this surprised the turtle. Okay, the frog got on the turtle's back. But the turtle was very small, and his back was very wet, easy to fall off. So did the frog have a strong position on the turtle's back? No. Was the frog's position very secure, very safe? No. What kind of position was it? Well, it was a tenuous position. It means it could change very easily. He could fall off very easily. It was wet, it was small, a very tenuous position. The frog had a tenuous position, but did he fall? No, he did not fall. His position was tenuous, but he was okay. He did not fall off. Finally, he got to the other side. And he got to the other side. He saw a beautiful woman. It was his princess. He jumped up and he kissed the princess, and the princess became a frog. They kissed again and they got married, and they were always happy together. All right, one more time, this time with fewer questions. Once there was a frog. He wanted to find a princess. So he went on a journey, a very long, difficult trip. He walked for many years. Every day he imagined his princess. He obsessed about her. He thought about her all the time. He only thought about her. He obsessed about her. But he couldn't find her. He kept walking all over the world, year after year after year. So he became very tired. He became fatigued. Even though he was fatigued, he did not have a failure of nerve. He did not become afraid. He said, "I will not have a failure of nerve. I will overcome every problem. I will beat every problem. I will overcome every catastrophe. I will overcome every disaster. I will persist. I will keep trying until I find her. I will never quit. I will persist." One day the frog came to a large, tumultuous river. It was not a calm river. It was not a small river. It was a tumultuous river, churning and moving very fast. It had huge rocks and waves. It was a tumultuous river. And he felt so much fatigue. He didn't have the capacity to cross the river. He was not strong enough anymore. He didn't have the capacity to swim across. So he yelled to a turtle, "Can you help me cross the river?" The turtle said, "Why do you want to cross?" And the frog said, "I must find my princess." He was still obsessed. The turtle was surprised. "Are you implying that you want to marry a human? Are you suggesting you want to marry a human?" "Yes," the frog said, still obsessed. The frog got on the turtle's back. But he was a small turtle and his back was wet. The frog's position was not good. It was a tenuous position. He could easily fall off. He almost fell several times, but finally they got to the other side. On the other side, he saw a beautiful woman. It was his princess. He jumped into her arms and kissed her. Mwah! She became a frog, and a frog princess for him. They kissed again. They got married. The end. Okay, listen to this a couple times. It will help you remember some of these key vocabulary words, these important vocabulary words. And as usual, review the text, review the learning guide, listen a few times to everything. Validation. I'm sitting at the table in my apartment, looking out the window. I turn back to the papers stacked in front of me. Interesting, I say. Very interesting. I glance over the test scores again, the pre-test numbers, the post-test numbers, and the amount each student improved. Good, I say, as I notice that all of the students improved over the course of the semester. All the post-test scores are higher than the pre-test scores. Most students improved by a couple of points, but my eyes are drawn to two sets of numbers, two names, Kyung and Jin. These two students improved dramatically more than all of the others. Their post-test scores show a big jump. What did they do differently, I ask myself. At the final class, I asked them. Since all of the students had the same in-class experience, I focus on what they did outside of class. Most students followed traditional study methods. They studied textbooks. They used vocabulary books. They went to traditional English classes. But Kyung and Jin followed a different approach. In fact, they actually followed the method I continually harangued the class about. They focused on repeated listening and reading for fun. Both students said they took my advice seriously and therefore listened to English podcasts and audio articles 1 to 2 hours every day. Kyung joined the Linguist and faithfully uses their system. Both students also read for fun, mostly easy materials such as National Geographic for kids, adolescent novels, etc. In thís, teaching English to speakers of other languages, jargon, these two exceptional students followed an input-based approach. The bulk of their study time was spent reading and listening to understandable and interesting English materials. Most students in schools follow an analysis-based approach. The bulk of their time is spent analyzing the language, breaking it apart, memorizing grammar rules, and doing drills. Plenty of research shows that input-based methods are faster and more effective than analysis-based methods. I knew this, which is why I always nag and cajole my students to focus on comprehensible input. But it was still thrilling to see this knowledge illustrated quantitatively in such dramatic fashion by my own students. The truly interesting part is that the pre- and post-test I gave them, the Michigan test, measures listening, vocabulary, and grammar. I'm not surprised that Kyung and Jin improved their listening skill. But that section was only 20% of the test. The remaining 80% tested both vocabulary and grammar. In other words, their vocabulary improved dramatically faster than the students who specifically studied vocabulary books and lists. Their grammar improved dramatically faster than the students who specifically studied grammar textbooks. This is not an isolated incident. Many research studies replicate these findings. See www.sdcrashin.com for the most thorough summary of these. In study after study, input-based approaches beat analysis-based approaches, as measured by general English tests such as the TOEFL, TOEIC, or Michigan tests. These tests measure vocabulary, grammar, listening, and in some cases, speaking and writing. Though I'm aware of this research, I've never seen this phenomenon so starkly illustrated in person in a quantitative way, mostly because I've never had the opportunity to pre- and post-test my students. These results are a small but powerful validation of my own teaching approach and the methods I continually exhort my students to follow. I will now carry this plea to you. Do not analyze English. Do not use analysis-based methods. Do not rely on textbooks. Do not focus on grammar rules. Use an input-based method. Listen to understandable English. Listen repeatedly. Listen 1 hour every day, and listen every day. And read. Read a lot. But don't read textbooks. Read easy materials that are fun and interesting to you. Many students, for some reason, don't follow my advice. But those who do, such as Kyung and Jin, improve much more quickly than those who don't. Follow this method, and you too will improve faster, just like Kyung and Jin. Okay, and now for the mini story for the validation article. This story will help you remember some of the new vocabulary from the article. Let's get started. There was once a guy named Bill. Though Bill was 45 years old, he acted like an adolescent. Bill loved to read comic books. He loved to ride his bike. And he always acted nervous around women. Bill lived with his parents. His mom still nagged him every day. "Clean your room, Bill," she would say, "and do your laundry." One day, Bill saw a girl named Beatrix. He was immediately drawn to her. He giggled and laughed when she was near. Beatrix was starkly different than Bill. She was very mature. She was independent. She lived alone. Bill didn't know what to do. He wanted a date, but was afraid to ask Beatrix out. He felt immature next to her. But, he thought, if she goes on a date with me, it will be validation that I'm attractive and interesting and cool. Bill decided to ask out Beatrix in dramatic fashion. He bought 500 roses and had them delivered to her house. He dressed in an orange suit, went to her house, and knocked on the door. When she answered, Bill said, "I love you! I will faithfully take care of you all my life. No one will love you like I do. No one can replicate my feelings." Beatrix was shocked. She yelled, "Go away, loser!" But Bill wouldn't leave. Beatrix yelled again, "Go away!" But still, Bill wouldn't go. Beatrix cajoled him, "Go away, or I will call the police." Then she closed the door. But Bill would not leave. He's still sitting in front of her front door right now. So now, Beatrix must always use the back door. The end. All right, one more time with some questions. As I say the questions, try to quickly answer them in your head. You can even shout them out if you want to. This just helps you remember the vocabulary a little bit better. Let's start from the beginning. There was once a guy named Bill. Though Bill was 45 years old, he acted like an adolescent. Was Bill mature? No, he wasn't. He acted like an adolescent. Did Bill act like a young kid, like a middle school kid? Yes, he did. How old did he act like he was? Well, he acted like he was an adolescent, like a middle school boy. Bill acted like an adolescent, not like a teenager, not like a small child, not like an adult. He acted like an adolescent. And he loved to do adolescent things. Bill loved to read comic books. He loved to ride his bike. And he was always nervous around women. Bill lived with his parents, just like an adolescent. His mom still nagged him every day. Was his mom sweet and friendly every day? No, she wasn't. Did his mom bother him every day? Yes, kind of. What did she do? She nagged him. She asked him to do the same thing again and again and again. What did she nag him about? Did she nag him about doing the dishes? Do the dishes, do the dishes. No, she didn't nag him about the dishes. Did she nag him about cutting the grass? No, she did not nag him about cutting the grass. What did she nag him about? She nagged him every day about cleaning his room and doing the laundry. She would nag him and say, "Bill, clean your room. Bill, clean your room. Bill, I told you, clean your room now." She would nag him every day about cleaning the room and doing laundry. One day, Bill's life changed. He saw a beautiful girl, a beautiful woman, named Beatrix. Was Beatrix an adolescent? No, she wasn't. Did she act like an adolescent? No, she didn't. She was a very mature person. How did Bill feel when he saw Beatrix? Was he attracted to her? Yes, very attracted to her. He was drawn to her. He felt pulled to her. Bill felt drawn to Beatrix. Did he love her? Yes, actually he did love her. He was drawn to her, he was attracted to her, and actually he loved her too. But he giggled and laughed when she was near, because he's kind of an adolescent. All right, Beatrix was starkly different than Bill. Was she a little bit different than Bill? No, she was very, very different than Bill. Was it easy to see that they were different? Was it obvious? Yes, of course, it was obvious. They were starkly different. Not just a little bit different. They were starkly different. Very, very different. Different in an obvious way. So Beatrix was starkly different than Bill. She was very mature. She was independent. She lived alone. She did not act like an adolescent. She was starkly different. She was very mature. Bill didn't know what to do. He wanted a date, but he was afraid to ask Beatrix out. He felt very immature next to her because they were so starkly different. But he thought, if she goes on a date with me, it will be validation that I'm attractive and cool. So why did he want this date with her? Did he want a date because it would make him feel stupid? No. Would it prove something if she accepted a date? If she said yes? Yes, it would prove something. What would it prove? Well, it would be validation that he was attractive and cool. Bill needed validation. He needed proof that he was attractive and cool. So if Beatrix accepted his date, if she said yes, it would be validation. It would be proof that he was attractive and cool. Bill decided to ask Beatrix out in a dramatic way, in dramatic fashion. Did Bill do something small? No. Did Bill do something normal? No. Did he ask her out in a calm way? No. He asked her out in dramatic fashion, in a very powerful way, a very big, obvious, powerful way. Bill asked out Beatrix in dramatic fashion. He bought 500 roses and had them delivered to her house. He dressed in an orange suit, and he went to her house and he knocked on her door. When she answered, Bill said, "I love you. I will faithfully take care of you all my life." Would Bill take care of her in a casual way? No. How would he take care of her? He would take care of her faithfully. Would he believe in her? Yes, he would. Would he always believe in her? Yes, he would. Would he feel confident about taking care of her? Yes, he would. Would he feel really in love and really, really dedicated, really serious about taking care of her? Yes, he would faithfully take care of her in all situations, at all times. He would faithfully take care of her. He said, "No one will love you like I do. No one can replicate my feelings." Could someone else copy the way he felt? No, they couldn't. No one could replicate his feelings. Could someone else pretend to feel like him? No, no one could replicate his feelings. Only he felt this way. Only he would be totally faithful. So no one could replicate his feelings. No one could replicate his actions. He and he alone could feel this way and act this way. But Beatrix didn't like him. He had an ugly orange suit, and he looked like a loser because he looked like an adolescent kid. So Beatrix yelled, "Go away, loser!" Did Bill leave? No, he didn't. So she yelled again, "Go away!" But still, Bill wouldn't go. Finally, Beatrix cajoled him. "Go away, or I will call the police." Was Beatrix friendly? No, she wasn't. Did she politely ask him? No, did she not? She did not politely ask him. She cajoled him. Did she ask him many times? That's right. Yes, she did. She asked him many times. She cajoled him again and again. She tried to push him. She tried to force him. She tried to scare him. She cajoled him. "Go away now, or I will call the police." Did Beatrix cajoling, did it work? Was it successful? No. She tried to cajole him, but after she closed the door, Bill stayed there. Bill did not leave. He was not cajoled. In fact, Bill is still sitting there now. He's still in front of the door right now. He will be there all his life. And so now, Beatrix must always use her back door. Okay, one more time quickly, without questions, and that's it. There was once a guy named Bill. Though Bill was 45 years old, he acted like an adolescent, like a young kid. 12, 13-year-old kid. Bill loved to read comic books. He loved to ride his bike. And he always acted nervous around women. Bill lived with his parents. His mom still nagged him every day. "Clean your room, Bill. Clean your room, Bill. Bill, I said clean your room." She would also nag him about laundry. "Bill, do your laundry. Bill, I told you, do your laundry. Have you done your laundry yet? Do your laundry." Always nagging. One day Bill saw a woman named Beatrix. He was immediately drawn to her, strongly attracted to her. He giggled and laughed when she was near. Was Beatrix the same as him? I'm afraid not, no. Beatrix was starkly different than Bill. Obviously different than Bill, very starkly different. She was very mature. She was independent. She lived alone. Bill didn't know what to do. He wanted a date, but was afraid to ask Beatrix out. He felt immature next to her. But he thought, if she goes on a date with me, it will be validation that I'm attractive and cool. If she says yes, it will be proof. It will be validation that I'm a cool guy. Bill decided to ask out Beatrix in dramatic fashion, not in a calm way, not in a normal way, in dramatic fashion. He bought 500 roses and had them delivered to her house. He dressed in an orange suit, went to her house, and knocked on the door. When she answered, Bill said, "I love you! I will faithfully take care of you all my life." He would love to take care of her. He would faithfully take care of her all his life. "No one will love you like I do. No one can replicate my feelings. No one can copy my feelings. No one can replicate them." Beatrix was shocked. She yelled, "Go away, loser." But Bill wouldn't leave. Beatrix yelled again, "Go away." Bill still wouldn't go. Beatrix became angry. She tried to cajole him, tried to force him and push him and persuade him. Beatrix cajoled him, "Go away, or I will call the police." Then she closed the door. But Bill would not leave. He's still sitting in front of her door right now. As a result, Beatrix must always use her back door. Okay, that is the end of the mini story for the validation article. I suggest now, after you listen a few times, stop this audio, stop your iPod, try to tell this story yourself. Say it out loud when you're alone. Try to tell this story yourself using the new vocabulary. See if you can remember it and see if you can use it correctly.